World War I had come to a close. The Empire needed a capital, and it couldn't build one with Tengu's team. They weren't willing to do it. We needed to do something, however Solid was gone, and soon Theory would take that track. But eventually, I had an idea. I began building King's Landing in an island near Gehenna 2, and slowly but surely I would begin building the walls. King's Landing would be a fort before it would be a country, and pretty soon it would become fairly powerful. Slowly but surely, the country was ready, and pretty soon it would become the most powerful country in the entirety of the SMP, housing half of the entirety of the server. Theory eventually started playing again, and he helped me build King's Landing up from the ground. This was his home, and pretty soon the country nearby would join us. Tengu and his boys would join us as well, and King's Landing would flourish, becoming the most powerful country in the entirety of Season 4. It was only the early beginning of King's Landing, and we had already felt like we were up in the power strings. It seemed like we were already an unstoppable force. We felt like that we had nothing in the way. We were going to be legendary. At this point, the Empire was already thinking long term. We weren't thinking short term. We were thinking about how the Empire was going to run, who was going to be in it, who our government would be. We were already thinking about us ruling the server to the end of time. It seemed like nothing was going to get in our way. And pretty soon, Mustachio's country nearby would join us, and we would become even more powerful with their presence. Even Solid, who we thought would never join back, came back and joined us in the power strings. It seemed like we were truly unstoppable. As I mentioned earlier, King's Landing was built on an island, and on the first live stream, something very important occurred.
What the hell is that? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me that somebody already lives here. Oh, wait, no, never mind. No, that's Mustachio's country. Oh my god, I didn't realize that Mustachio's country was like right there. Wait, that's actually so funny. Okay, that's cool, whatever. I'll build his country near his, I guess. It'll be a dual country, that's gonna be awesome.
After the betrayal at Bravos, Mustachio went to go build his new country. However, he had no idea that his new country was right next to GA2, and so happeningly, I had built the capital of the Empire right next to his country. This was purely by accident, and I didn't know his country was there until the rain had cleared, and I could see better. The two nations would eventually rise together. King's Landing would start out with two important buildings, its crucial storage and a very famous building known as the Bastille, with its crucial bell system and its very crucial meeting area. King's Landing would get all of its deep slate via an underground mine that was under King's Landing, that would serve as a primary deep slate mine and a possible escape for members in case anything went wrong. And at this point, the seeds for King's Landing had been planted. At this point, the Empire is in its prime, and it truly seemed like absolutely nothing could challenge the Empire. There were no threats, there was only one war with Gale, which was going nowhere, and simply no one else. The Empire was now on top, and it would stay like that for a good amount of weeks. Since the first weeks of Season 4, Me and Cal had been at each other's throats, and the war between me and Cal had come into a standstill. And now that my empire was on the rise, Cal needed something new. He needed to do something to outshine the empire. He recruited Dread and Sleepy and began his new ambitious plans. Him and Dread were thinking about forming a rebellion, and they built their first country together, known as Sunspear. And a new figure would join the server. His name was Shu. Shu joined and immediately invited two of his friends and began relations with Cal, and inevitably joined the rebellion against the Empire. When Cal's rebellion was first made, one of its important plans was to work with Tengu, who's typically known for fighting me and my empires. However, this plan never worked out. Tengu was loyal to the Empire and decided to spy on this new rebellion. Shortly after, Cal and Shu got into a disagreement over Shu's productivity, and so Shu was kicked out of the rebellion. There was a week period where Shu didn't know what to do, but eventually he made his own rebellion against the Empire and decided to immediately take action by declaring war against the Empire. Eventually the Empire returned the favor and declared war on Shu. The official declaration of war read, "The Empire is officially declaring war on Shu and all allies. A state of war exists between us, and we will stop at nothing to defend peace in our lives." While Cal's rebellion and country wasn't really going anywhere, Shu's rebellion and brand new base was actually making some impressive progress. Now, one of Shu's big things was attempting to get spies within the Empire. And so, me seeking an opportunity, I sent in Theory 15 to go spy on the rebellion, and it worked a charm. This plan you see before you was actually a leaked plan that Theory had sent me. Shu trusted Theory. The trick was so well that even Cal sent me a warning that Theory was trying to work against me. In reality, it was the other way around. Eventually, Shu and his rebellion began making plans to attack King's Landing. However, Theory was in charge of making these plans, so I simply went to Theory and told him what to tell the rebellion. I was puppeteering their plan so I would know exactly where they would come from. It was my masterpiece. And everything that was said in that chat, and everything that was discussed, and every plan, every motive, and every desire, I knew what was going on. In the SMP chat, Shu had been talking about getting maxed out and threatening the Empire. I had responded with this: "Your downfall is inevitable, and pretty soon you will realize the pure unstoppable force that you are taking on. The Empire backs down to no one, and soon, Shu, you will realize the mistake you have made." Since the Empire knew when the rebellion was going to strike, the Empire made the first move, attacking the rebellion home base, and it was a slaughter.
Theory. I'm sure that on your journey to leading to the fall of the rebellion, you have learned many lessons on espionage. I've given you plenty of tips. I've helped you a lot. I've helped you learn many things. And hopefully you know that you are now capable of a lot more than you thought. And hopefully in the future, you can take these skills and build something new for yourself. We did it. We fucking did it. There is no more rebellion. It's too easy. It's too easy. It's too easy, dude. It's too easy, man. This, boys, we are the very first empire to ever completely shut down a rebellion without our country being destroyed, and my god, I am so happy right now.
The rebellion was gone, and the Empire had left its banners everywhere at the previous rebellion base. The rebellion was gone, and the Empire was now at war with no parties. And while Cal was secretly working against us, he started to lighten up and began working with the Empire. World peace had been achieved.
Hello, everybody. The fall of the rebellion, boys. Let's go! Alright, boys. We are here to celebrate the ultimate victory for our empire and its beginning. Our empire has just begun, and we have already shown the world that we are unstoppable. Nothing is going to stop us at this rate except for ourselves, but that will never happen. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I'm trying to speak here. You already ran out of cake? You're fat enough! Jesus Christ, bro. Oh my god. It's not... Listen, man, Season 2 Tengu can't come back if you're not, like, skinny and you gotta be fast. Jesus Christ. Anybody else need more cake? God damn. People are crazy. Alright.
Oh, what's it called? Oh shoot, I'm not filming right now. Don't kill you!
Oh, street fight. Yo, it's a street fight. Yo, it's a street fight in the Bastille. Oh god! The first fatality for yo, my brother just said num 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 and just ate all of he just ate all of his stuff. Everybody, that's the end of the stream. Everybody, that's the end of the stream. I have one thing to say. Hold on. I gotta go to my settings here so that way I can make this look cool. Hold on.
Bro, what is this?
Alright, everybody. Long live the Empire!
At the meeting, it was rather chaotic, however, it was a great time. Everybody thanked Theory for doing the job that he had committed, and Theory was condemned. Everybody loved that he did this job, and a future seed had been set. The Empire was now in its prime, and now a new age would begin. So, by now you know the usual Tengu team. It's Tengu, Drab, Turtle, and this season, Waffle. Waffle was an interesting decision to join the team. I was quite concerned that Tengu was trying to spread out since Tengu and I were typically enemies. Maybe he was trying to get a bigger team to possibly fight us. However, that never happened. Waffle invited a friend to the clan. His name was Morat. And Morat was just a typical slave for Waffle, going mining. However, one day, Morat went mining in a new location. It was the Savannah Mountains, so happeningly, the location of an important base. He must have gone mining, gone up the mountain, and eventually ran into a mega cave. While he was in the mega cave, he noticed something strange. Torches. Why would there be torches down here? He found this odd and eventually looked deeper into the area and noticed something strange. This wall looks odd. Something is just off about it. He eventually mined a hole and found Gehenna. Morat, finding Gehenna, immediately went to Waffle, and Waffle, hearing the surprising news, went to Tengu and eventually went to Gehenna.
Tengu just, Tengu just screamed, "What?" I'm showing him this.
Shortly after, Tengu and his boys headed out to go raid Gehenna. Around 20 minutes after the raid on Gehenna, the kings had found out what happened and eventually found the destroyed country. We tried our best to find out who had done this. We tried to look everywhere, every crevice, every block that was mined, everything that was stolen. At least some evidence. However, there was nothing. It was truly terrifying. The only evidence that could help us that we had found was that the robbery was rushed. It was seemed to be quick, fast, and easy. Whoever did this didn't have time on their hands. Finding Gehenna in this state was terrible for us. Solid wasn't around anymore, and it was just me in theory. We found Gehenna blown up. We had no idea who had done it. We had no idea when it was done, and we didn't know what we were gonna do. Gehenna 2 was our pride. Gehenna 2 was everything. It was the main supplier of the entirety of the Empire. Without it, what were we going to do? How would things be handled now? How would we distribute loot? This was going to be a major setback. And this would be very, very long term. Our investigation to find out who had done this immediately began. We had some suspects like Cal, the Rebellion, and some others. However, there was plenty of evidence supporting on their side. We had no idea who had committed this foul crime. Not only that, but there was a suspicious login time. You see, in a nutshell, when me and Theory had left the server, we had left in Gehenna. 30 minutes later, we log back in, and Gehenna is blown up. The only two people that were on when me and Theory had left was Tengu and Drab. We had the feeling that this sign was to throw us off, and we were right at that point. However, we had no idea that it was our teammates, our allies, who had done this. And pretty soon, we would find out the hard way. When I had made the announcement that Gehenna had fallen, the kings and the Empire were devastated. But we had also knew that moment that this would be very bad. Without Gehenna, the enchantment book supplies from Mustachio's country would be completely cut off, and food supply would now have to be relied on Theory's island and some new farms. Things were about to spiral out of control. And something that is pretty noteworthy and rather ironic is that Tengu was one of the guys who said "Long live the Empire" after the message was sent. He blended right in, and it seemed like nothing was gonna go wrong for him. At this point, Shu had realized that losing Gehenna, the Empire was weakened and reinstated the rebellion. The Empire was now losing its confidence in itself, and things would only go from bad to worse. Everything that could go wrong for the Empire was going wrong. There were many little things that were going on, but all of them had a massive effect on the Empire. And slowly but surely, I was losing grip of my own empire. However, I knew if I went down, the Empire would go with me. So I stood high, and I made sure that I, of all people, would focus on the situation. Gehenna was gone. The rebellion was back, and Cal was still at war with us. We needed to figure out who bombed Gehenna, and we needed to kill them immediately. I was slowly losing my sanity. I knew that King's Landing and the entirety of the Empire needed a decisive victory, whether it would be against Cal, the rebellion, or whoever blew up Gehenna. We needed something. Our confidence was gone. At this point, the Empire was no longer about getting world peace. It was about gaining control. We wanted to control the server, to have peace under our own reign. The Empire's existence was under threat. The only way that we could survive was through domination. So, you remember how I told you that Cal had settled down in a place called Sunspear? I had also mentioned earlier that Cal was starting to warm up to the Empire. Well, actually, he had formed an alliance with the Empire and eventually built his famous skull in the sky after joining King's Landing. He eventually built his base near King's Landing, containing potions, pots, and loot. He named it the Vault. And meanwhile in Sunspear, Dread began planting the seeds for the brand new country, and this country would have a gravitational effect on the Empire. Meanwhile with Shu's rebellion, they realized that the Empire could still close their fists even without Gehenna, and so they called for peace. Eventually the Empire decided to have a meeting for peace, and the date was on the 7th of May. And the Empire's investigation to find out who blew up Gehenna was starting to narrow down on Tengu's team. This must have worried Tengu's team because then they started making cheap shots at Mustachio's country and slowly attacking them. This was day by day and the kings thought nothing of it. However, it was pretty suspicious that Tengu was attacking his own friends. And at some point, Tengu's team must have learned about the meeting between the Empire and the Rebellion, because then they decided to do something on that day, possibly interrupting the meeting. And so, it begins. This was the photo taken directly after the battle. The battle was a lot more intense than I had projected it to be here, but in the end, a lot happened, and King's Landing was destroyed at this point in time. Another casualty during the Battle of King's Landing was actually Cal's vault. Tengu and his boys had hit it when me and Theory were getting ready for the fight, and everything was robbed. Cal eventually left the Empire and eventually went back to Sunspear. The alliance between the Empire and the Rebellion had finally been formed after the battle, and most of the Empire had actually gone AFK. You see, for the week after the battle, nobody had logged on. And now that Cal had basically left the Empire, Shu had assumed that Cal was an enemy, and sent Theory coordinates to Sunspear. He then said that he would give Theory a reward for destroying Sunspear. Eventually, Theory went through with it, and Sunspear had fallen. What was strange is that Theory went in and attacked Sunspear, killing Cal and Dread and destroying the entire country, and he did it without the Empire even knowing. We had no idea that he went in and destroyed an entire country. And the next morning, Brandon wakes up to a wither in King's Landing. But not one, but two.
Here you are. Kale was over there. I managed to kite it away from Kale. I'm trying to keep it by the bay here so we can keep riptiding it. Let's go. We're gonna see how bad the damage is here. Obviously, the centerpiece is where the wither was spawned. Oh, there's another one. I didn't know that.
Most of the country and what was left of the Bastille was flattened. The entire thing was gone. Me investigating on what had happened, I realized that Cal was the one who had bombed King's Landing. I then put together the pieces and found that Theory was responsible for making this aggravated assault. I needed to put Theory in his place. But first, I had to repair King's Landing, bring it back up on its feet, at least try to make sure that the country would be okay. And eventually, I repaired the entire thing. And right before I would betray him, Theory attempted to save his reputation, but by then, it was too late. At around a day later, I had betrayed Theory. This was a dark time in the Empire. The Empire was changing gear. We went from peacetime to absolute wartime. We didn't know who our friends were and who our enemies were. However, something new would happen and it would change everything. Duelist Bucket had joined the server. But before Duelist became relevant to the Empire, I was hunting down all of Tengu's team, and I managed to find Cosmic Red's base, one of the members who had died in the battle in Tengu's team. I let him off with a warning, and I told him to tell his teammates about me finding his base. It was supposed to be a sign of aggression towards Tengu's team, and possibly that I would want to rematch him in the future. So yes, me and Cal were at war because of what happened in Sunspear. However, there is a bit of a side story as well. He made a country above the Empire stronghold called Winterfell. I don't have any clips, footage, or anything of this country, but basically it was a small country that went nowhere. When we went to war, I destroyed this country. However, this time I was looking to really get peace with him. The Empire needed to have peace to rebuild, and so this time I really assured peace with Cal by giving him the crown.
Is it the real crown? Oh my goodness, you're my favorite. Mwah. Here you go.
Duelist first joining didn't seem very relevant to me. I didn't really think he was going to go anywhere, considering that he wasn't fond of the SMP at this point. Sure, he had returned, but I didn't really think much of it. But slowly, day by day, he was surprising me more and more. He began building pathways around King's Landing and began settling down in the region. He even began blueprints on a new country called Kingsport. Generally, Duelist was surprising me, and he was doing well. And one day, as we were building up King's Landing, Tengu decided to come in for another attack. This time, it was unsuccessful, but he didn't die. He managed to get away, and after I pretended to be AFK, he attempted to assassinate me. It was not successful. In the end, Tengu would never come back.
You know it.
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. He popped, 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 he popped. Get his ass, do some fireworks.
And as Kingsport was being built, both Human and Solid will both join into King's Landing. Solid returning after his break and Human returning after being previously kicked out. He was accepted by Duelist and the country would begin its rise.
Why does he keep coming here?
Because oh!
As a part of the extension of King's Landing, Theory's country/castle would begin construction. This place is actually pretty cool and a lot of people would hang out there. And slowly, the Empire was coming back on its feet. And as a part of the Empire's rise, we had to go back into peacetime, so we decided to form an alliance with our previous enemy, Skittles. We formed the alliance by paper, and soon enough, he would actually join King's Landing and leave his winter base that you see before you. As a new era of peace and prosperity begins in the Empire slowly expands its borders with Theory's new country, Dullest's new country, the re-rise of Mustachio's country, and the repairing and rebuilding of King's Landing. Of course, the Empire needed new management and new people in charge, so we decided to hold an election for Co-King, and my god, it was chaotic. Now, as the position for Co-King was up for grabs, a lot of candidates went up and applied. This went from Krolex to Theory to Dullest to Skittles and Cal. All of these guys would compete, but Cal would forfeit, Dullest would leave, come back, leave, and come back, then join Theory, then leave, then come back. And it turns out Skittles was actually being puppeteered by Tengu. After these screenshots were leaked, the election was inevitably started without him. He was kicked out, and sure enough, Tengu was not happy about it. However, me being the absolute leader of the Empire, I did this with no tips. I decided I wanted to form an alliance with Tengu. Tired of war and an upcoming election where all of my members would be, I needed to make sure I had peace so people would be safe during the election. 2 days after Skittles was booted off, the final two candidates were Theory and Dullest, and the election began.
Welcome to yet again another election, and yeah, we're gonna be having another election once again in the Gale SMP, but this time it's going to be for an interesting position. This position has been fought over for at least 2 weeks now, and basically these guys here are the finales of multiple candidates that wanted to run for Co-King but simply just either lost the passion or essentially worked with our past enemy. But yeah, we're here today. We have Theory 15, one of my closest friends. You know, we've had our differences recently, but you know, he's still one of my closest friends. He's really good. He's actually, like, you know, he's worked for the Empire a lot more than Dullest, but yes. And then right over here, we have my other best friend, Dullest. He's tried to run me over in real life. Dullest here, he's a really good builder. He's a really good builder. He's a great person sometimes. He's big. He's really big into infrastructure. So if you guys are looking for homes, if you guys are looking for all sorts of stuff, Dullest here is the one you're gonna want to vote. But if you want protection and you want everything else apart from homes and shit, Theory is your guy.
Fellow citizens, I come to you today with an opportunity to lead and serve our kingdom. As you may know, our kingdom has always had a single king to lead us, but I believe we can achieve even greater success with two equally capable leaders.
Citizens and non-citizens of this empire, I, Dullest, started running for this campaign not long ago. But I promise you that I will ensure peace, security, and strength through these countries with him, and each country has gone very far in places. Multiple examples come to mind, but those are different worlds and different times. We're talking about here and now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna call you guys up one at a time. You will place down your vote, and I'll get the votes from the other sources. So, ladies and gentlemen, the election has begun. Demon, who are you voting for? Ladies and gentlemen, by a almost landslide victory, Theory 15 is now the official Co-King of the Empire. Congratulations, Theory. Everybody, thank you for showing up. Pretty soon, pretty soon our nation will start to be built up. Ladies and gentlemen, just because Dolus Bucket is lost here does not mean that he will not be given a position here, probably with infrastructure and building, because he is still a great builder. But I'm sure that you people have seen Dolus in power long enough. I'm sure that you people would.
The Dark Auction. A simple place where you would simply auction off rare items. It's a place where typically nothing would usually go wrong. However, due to some controversy in King's Landing and in the Empire, we decided we needed to assassinate Krolex. You see, he had said some controversial things, and after these things were said, we decided to set on killing him. I began building the Dark Auction under King's Landing, and we chose King's Landing's Dark Auction as the place to kill Krolex. Inevitably, we killed him, but little did we know, it was the biggest mistake in Empire history. You see, right as Solid Ghost decided he wanted to leave the SMP for good this time, he decided to give Empire members some of his good loot, so that way he can provide the Empire with the final goodbye. However, unknowing that Krolex is going to be betrayed the next day, he gave Krolex a shulker box full of TNT, and soon Krolex would get his revenge. And the day after the first Dark Auction, something would occur that would throw the server off course and light a wildfire across every team in Season 4. This event would be the most chaotic moment in Season 4 history and would begin the darkest rampage in Gale SMP history. This moment would forever change Season 4. It would be the defining moment of the Empire, whether it could stand or fall one last time. But until then, the Dark Auction was held. And the Dark Auction was the final last thing the Empire could do in peace. Because from here on out, King's Landing would take the harshest beating it had ever taken in its entire lifespan. The country would go through something it's never been through before. And the question would be, will it survive, or will it finally fall to its enemies? Krolex, knowing that he can't fight the Empire in a battle, decides to strike the Empire's heart. King's Landing. He wakes up at 6 in the morning and secretly goes on a bombing run. The country is destroyed. Empire members wake up to the heart of the Empire, the capital of our guild, just everything gone. When I first heard of the news that King's Landing had been bombed, I was wondering to myself if it was really that bad. When I logged in, I realized it was unrecoverable. King's Landing was truly gone this time. I was filled with rage in the moment, but the first thing I needed to know was who did it. And immediately somebody took responsibility. Cal. But something was wrong with the screenshot he sent. Something wasn't right. There's a person in the background, and it looks like Solid. And in fact, it was Solid. We don't know why to this day, but he assisted Cal in bombing King's Landing. This moment for me was truly heartbreaking, especially for the Kings. This was the ultimate betrayal. And after I revealed to Cal that I had stolen his crown, he decided to have a back and forth argument with me, and that ended up in me and him declaring war on each other. And eventually, my rampage began. A day into King's Landing being blown up, I had discovered this outpost, but it would become relevant later. At first, I set my sights on Skittles, and eventually took him out. Then I decided to have my final 1v1 with Shu. Shu was leaving the server and decided to take me on. The fight was close. At least that's what he said. But it wasn't. It was a blowout. I then set my eyes back on that totem farm. I eventually figured out it belonged to Tengu. I announced to Tengu I had found his farm, and him and his army eventually settled out to go fight me at the Battle of the Resurrections. And so that was it. The conclusion of King's Landing's story. Now, the true story doesn't truly end at that point. There are some things that happens in the country, some battles and events. However, this was the main story. This is what truly happened in King's Landing and what it served, what happened, the wars, the peacetime, the meetings, everything. This was the true story of King's Landing, and it was one hell of a time. And in my opinion, I think it was the best time in Season 4. I think King's Landing defied Season 4. This was a prideful moment for the season, and truly it was really enjoyable. Everybody that was there for it had a great time in King's Landing. Even if they were betrayed, eventually they came back and had a great time. It was truly just amazing. I want to personally thank everybody that voted for this episode to be a movie, and I want to thank everybody who helped me produce this movie. Without you guys like Tengu, Krolex, Theory, Drab, and Dread, and etc., this movie would not be possible. So I greatly appreciate you guys for helping me out here. And to everybody else who watched, I hope you guys enjoyed this project. It took me so many months, I can't even count it. There are 107 recordings, and I believe around 100 different clips. I hope you guys really enjoyed this movie. I will be making another one in the future. I just won't tell you what it's about yet. Apart from that, Season 4 eventually would continue on without King's Landing existence. However, I do have a trailer for what's coming up next in Season 4. And hopefully, a new dawn begins. Will it be peace? Will it be war? Will it be publicity or pure silence? Well, only time would have to tell that one.
Theory?
Yeah?
I think we're going to war against Cal.
What? What are we gonna do?
Well, I'm going to go to King's Landing, and I'll wait for the army there. But I need you to spy on Cal's team and his empire.
Alright, I got it. Let's do this.
Yeah?
I got cords.
What?
We're sitting on the server and we get a message from a player named Theory15 saying that a war was coming in 3 days.